it's incorporating the language successfully as well as the visuals, isn't it? Does anyone else use any of these programs already? A lot of people use a lot of the script tutorials and so on, I think. But I'll just show you some ones that we've used. What I would do is I've got screenshots there of, if you go to the App Store, this is what you'll get, and you can download these. So some of them are free, and some of them you get slightly better versions if you pay a little more money. And I've discovered at my school that if you buy 20, then it's much more economic to buy 20. Even if you only need 10 for your class, maybe some other area of the school might want these as well, and so if you talk to your IT guy, it could be a good way to go. So this first one is called Book Creator, and you can see there, it basically, you can make a book and you can install a lot of other apps into this. So what I'm doing is just showing you how these sit in the App Store, and then we'll go back and see some of them in action. So Book Creator is basically making a book, and the beauty of it is that you can put slides in, you can record into it, you can put videos. It's just very cool. The second one, and you've got photocopies of all of these as well, is Tellagami. Tellagami is one where you can make a 30-second snippet of something, and if you look, you can see you can pick different backgrounds, you can pick different characters. Kids always love this, that you can dress up the characters, make them look like you, or make them look like their One Direction favourite person, or whoever it might be. And then it's just a 30-second snippet of recording, so really good for, I guess, something like a self-introduction. I've used it for my favourite room in a house and so on. So that's Tellagami. Next one is Pic Collage. So that's just simply one that you can use to just get a number of pictures arranged on a page. We used it a lot for our Japan trip album, and you can put commentary in there. Following that, we've got Puppet Pals. So this is one where you can now create conversation between a couple of characters. You can import your own backgrounds, or you can use the backgrounds that they have and also the characters that they have. And if you look at the price range there, there's a number of different packs that you can add on if you're doing a particular topic. Moving on to Morfo, this is probably our favourite one. So we take a photo of an unsuspecting person and then we transform them into something unrecognisable. They get to dance and do all kinds of things, and they can speak in the target language. Kids love this one. You know, I can imagine when we come to do the speech contest, we're just a bit over having to learn speeches, but if you can do little snippets using the Morfo, it's going to make it much more entertaining and much more engaging for the students. Moving on, 30 hands. So we're actually in 30 hands at the moment. It's just like a PowerPoint that you can use on the iPad. So you can put slides, you can record things. Really, it's very similar to PowerPoint. And then I've got some games here. So I know not everyone's language teachers, but if you go to the App Store and just do a search with whichever your language is, you will find a gazillion apps, and really it's just a question of working your way through and having a bit of a play. Kana Whack is a really good one. It's a little hammer comes out and you've got to whack a series of the readings of the kanji come along, and you've got to whack the correct one. So it's kind of taken over where flashcards left off. And you'll find that students become very proficient at script recognition through this one. And similarly, we've got Kana Crush. So if you've got any Facebook people in your class, quite likely, they already know a game called Candy Crush that some of them might play on Facebook. So this is a similar one where it helps you learn the script, and you can organise into the actual order of the alphabet and so on. とてもいいです。I like Tellagami. They just need a bit more purple in their world. You can choose your own background though, and that's great. I found their range of sweater colours to be a bit limiting, so I had to go for like the neutral that day. That's why I had to have a purple background. So you can see it's just a clip, and you customise the person. The other great thing about the apps is if you download the app, they have great tutorials. They're pretty well foolproof. So rather than me going through them, really just download the app, follow this, download the app, and just follow the tutorial, and they're really easy to make.
Excuse me, Susie, that's a Tellagami that you just had on. Did you save it into your iBooks?
I saved it, no, this whole book, the Book Creator, is an iBook, but those individual things that I've put on the pages, I've saved them into the camera roll. As a photo
from Tellagami into the camera roll,
and then from the so that's the way around, not having the iPad. Don't you think that IT is a consistent journey of working your way around to try and get to whatever situation you've got? So that's what I find anyway. Here's, this is Pic Collage. So that was just a page from our Japan trip album. We love Kyoto. My son Freddie down there. This next one is Puppet Pals. So I've got down here too, we've also got sock puppets is another one. So here's Puppet Pals, we just chose those two characters.
新しいベイビーメタルの曲を聴きましたか？
いいえ、一緒に聴きましょう。
Have you heard the new baby metal song? No, let's listen to it together. So just snippets of conversation, and you can make a whole story out of that. Kids love anything with characters, as you know. Next one is Comic Life. So this is where we're making a comic. So we've got the ninja saying konnichiwa, and he says Atarashi Ninja Academy o tsukuritai desu. I want to make a new ninja academy, and he picks his spot, which is the beautiful Himeji Castle, and he says, oh, this would be great. Sadly, in reality, it's closed because it's under repair for 6 years. So we've had to cross it off our Japan trip. Anyone going to Himeji? Another couple of years, it'll be open again. So you can, very easy to put different frames in there, and you know, kids love comics, and if they can't draw, it doesn't matter because they can get the story across. Our writing comp this year that we're doing for the Gold Coast branch, one of the categories is a 4-frame comic, and we will have a digital section and a hand-drawn section. So the 4-frame, typically you've got an introduction, something happens, and you've got a twist at the end. So kids are actually quite good, and that's quite an advanced thinking skill of humour that they're able to bring into their language. Okay, so here's the Morfo. This little darling didn't really change her face that much. She was doing a bit of a self-introduction, so let's just see what she's saying.
こんにちは、はじめまして。スリナと申します。高校1年生で16歳です。家族は5人です。父と母と妹と弟と私がいます。父は会社員です。母は看護師です。妹は中学校2年生で13歳です。弟は小学校7年生で12歳です。私の趣味は漫画を読むことです。アニメも大好きです。でも、スクールランブルというアニメが大嫌いです。スポーツは得意ですが、ネットボールができません。私の一番いいスポーツはサッカーです。買い物が好きです。暇な時、友達と遊びます。毎週の金曜日と土曜日にスパイスオブライスへアルバイトに行きます。どうぞよろしくありがとうございます。
Okay, so I was quite surprised that she could record for that long, so that's quite good.
Are you going to do one?
Pardon?
Are you going to do one?
Oh, we'll do one and we'll see if we can get a volunteer in a minute. I'll just show you this other one. This is very short, but you can see the different effects you can have.
Does the character move them out according to what the sound you put in?
Yeah.
Because
More or
I think
less,
so,
yeah.
And the one you had before, I think it was you who was saying it, and then
Yeah.
the hand seemed to move at appropriate times. Did you have to manipulate that?
No,
or
no,
that
it's
just
not that.
happened?
It's not that complex. The characters, I think somehow or other it ties in.
Synchronises. Sometimes it can be very out of whack, but it does. It synchronises.
Tends to synchronize.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it listens to the intonation.
It must be the intonation, I think, too. Yeah.
Puts me Italian.
Yeah, actually, we should try it with an Italian. We'll try it with Italian in a minute. So we'll look for a volunteer in the audience. This one you can just see the different effects.
将来ダンスになりたいです。
Okay, so you can be disco, you can be a rock god. I've lost myself. All right, shall we have a go and make a Morfo? Yes, let's, Susie. Who will I pick out of my volunteers?
Who can speak Italian?
Someone.
Nah.
Yeah.
Very sure.
Yep, we've got a volunteer.
Great, I'm excited. Our subject doesn't have to speak Italian, but maybe I was thinking let's do something other than Japanese so that you
want
can see
Spanish.
it.
I can do
Okay,
Spanish.
let's do that. All right, let me just find that out first.
So how do
Okay,
I
so
go
I've got
about
the
it?
Morfo here, and then I just tap to start it. It's
I
loading.
have to go there.
Anyone recognise that gentleman on the screen there?
No?
Brendan Boyle.
Brendan Boyle from our Gold Coast branch. Yes. He doesn't always look quite like that. All right, so we are going to create. We're going to take a photo.
Okay. So,
Lovely. You were made for morphing. Okay. We're going to use that photo. Okay. So we want to record though. Are you ready to say something?
yeah,
for us?
would you like me to say anything?
Hola chicos, ¿cómo estáis? Me llamo Cristina y soy de Barcelona, de España. Estoy aquí con vosotros para compartir la tarde y la noche. Bueno, pasadlo bien. Hasta la próxima.
Hola chicos, ¿cómo estáis? Me llamo Cristina y soy de Barcelona, de España. Estoy aquí con vosotros para compartir la tarde y la noche. Bueno, pasadlo bien. Hasta la próxima.
So when you're troubleshooting with the Morpho, you press the record, then you press the start, and then you see the green line. Okay, we can share that, so we can save a video, put it on Facebook.
So it will create the video and then it will just save into my camera roll.
So explain everything is a bit like, it's a whiteboard that you can annotate onto it, so you can plan your whole lesson and make notes around it, and it's just a very useful tool. Because I wasn't quite sure, I couldn't seem to remember which bit was which in this. I took a screenshot and made that my first slide. Is everyone able to take a screenshot on an iPad? We all know how to do that? So basically what you do is you press the button down there and the on-off button at the same time. So if you're on the internet or anything and you wanted to use that page as a photo, in other words, save it into your camera roll, then press the on-off button and this, and it takes a shot, and then you can use that in any kind of presentation.
iPhones as well.
Yeah, same with the
Same with the
iPhone as well. Okay, so I have to remember with this one, there's the moving is down the bottom, slide 1 of 7, so we'll go on to 2. Now I also did a great in-service the other day at Kedron, run by Liz Lacey and her fantastic team at Kedron, and they taught us about yuru kyara, and yuru kyara are yurui character, in other words, loose characters. They're not pretty little Disney type characters. They're the kind of, they got a bit of humanity in them, and they're a bit wrong, they're a bit off, but we relate to them in some way. So those of you that know, have been to Japan, he's Kumamon, so he is a symbol for Kumamoto. So a lot of these characters, there's official ones and unofficial ones. Some of them are official characters of different regions of Japan, or they might be like maybe a mascot for a particular campaign, an environmental campaign or a government-run campaign. So that's Kumamon. And then next slide. So here's just some notes, and you can see how you could do this too. Notes about different characters that we have. This is one from Nara. So Nara was one of the old capitals of Japan, and so some of you would remember seeing him at the train station, and his name is Sento. Then we've got this little water drop that's Iteki, standing for one drop of water. We've got ones from the Tokyo Tower, they're called Noppon, and they're official characters. Then we've got this one, they actually have a Grand Prix of all these characters. So the one in the centre down the bottom is the winner of last year, and he is Sanoman from a town called Sano. So sometimes if a town wants to try and boost tourism or be known for a particular thing, then people will create these characters. One I know about is up in Hokkaido. They had I remember Buddy, very famous for melons, and apparently they were experiencing a slump, and so they researched and found out what was their town, what was special about their town, and they found out that they actually had the lowest divorce rate in the whole of Japan. So from that, they decided that they would use that as a selling point, and they created these two little melon characters, Mr. and Mrs. Melon, and they publicised the fact that this was the centre of harmony, and actually it did help. A lot of people did end up coming to visit their town, and that was largely because of these characters that people can kind of identify with. So this one that won last year, he's got an upturned bowl of ramen noodles on his head, and he's got two swords that happen to be French fries potatoes with special sauce. You can embed videos into this. So here's an unofficial character. This is a guy from a place called Funabashi, and he's kind of based on a nashi pear, and he's just a bit wrong, really. So we'll see how we go with the little video we've got of him. Come on, Funabashi. Hang on, we better go back to the beginning, hey? Marketing department. Bow.
のりこさんとラッシュコラボしたいがためにいろいろ研究した人だし、ご当地プリンツがあるならご当地からプリンツがあってもいいと思うだし、ラッシュのラッシュルプシャーのラッシュルプシャー味だったら絶対売れるだし。仕方ないですね。よし、発売しましょう。やったラッシュ、これもって有名になりますね。
So yeah, the voice is so annoying and everything too. That's another feature of them, I think. But so they ended up, he's a nashi, so they made up a new flavour of pretz based on his marketing campaign. And that's about it, really, I think. So you could embed that video from YouTube. Many of you save videos from YouTube, I'm thinking. If you're with EQ, I think the only one I can find that works is KeepVid, but it doesn't work when you're on site. You have to do it at home, and then you can bring it in and embed it into things like this. So I hope that you are inspired to try anything here that you may not have tried before and have fun with apps. One thing I do think is that students love apps. Students are adventurous, and if you come to a presentation point in your curriculum, instead of telling them they have to use PowerPoint, why don't you ask them what they'd like to use? Sometimes they come up with some great ideas, and if they want to use a particular program, they will find out how it works in many cases. I had a boy last year find a fantastic app for house design and did his whole presentation and managed to import the Japanese and so on. Just lastly, I'm pretty sure everyone will know how to do this, but we know how to activate the Japanese keyboard on the iPad, do we? Just go into settings, and then you've got a number of languages, and it's handiest to try and activate the Romaji one rather than the Japanese one, because otherwise you'll have to type like a Japanese person, which takes you a long time to work out where all the keys are. Thank you. Any questions? Does anyone use anything that we haven't showed today? Go to the App Store, you'll find there's just so many. You'll always be discovering something new. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Susie.